So let's go ahead and start in a seated position this morning. So take a moment to get comfortable, whether you'd like to sit up on a block or a bolster if you have one, just something that lifts the hips a little bit and brings the knees at least level with the hips or below. And that's really, it not only eases the hip joint itself, but it is really nice on the low back as well. So we can sit a little longer before becoming uncomfortable. Once you've found your seat, we're going to place one hand on our energetic heart, anahata, and the other palm on top. And you place your hands in a position, whether it's right on top of the left or vice versa, whatever's most comfortable for you. The palms are soft, eyes softly closed. Come into your breath and take a moment to simply follow your breath in and out. Just observe yourself breathing. And so as we come into an intention for practice this morning, we always create an intention from our hearts. And my intention this morning is for this practice to be about self-love, self-acceptance, always self-care, self-compassion. And as I bring those terms up, let's take a moment to go through the idea of the RAIN concept, right? R stands for recognize. So when I bring those concepts up, just recognize what comes up for you. When we talk about self-love, self-compassion, self-acceptance, just recognize what comes up. Allow whatever that is to occur. So we don't have to push it aside, just allow. And then we investigate, or I like to use the term become curious. Curious as to what that is that came up for you. And then nurture it. So just nurturing or self-compassion, patience with yourself if there was some resistance to that idea of self-love and self-acceptance. So we recognize, we allow, we investigate, and we nurture. So here we have a sense of, with each breath, we have the intention of filling our own cups. Allowing ourselves to brim or fill ourselves to the brim with that idea of self-love and self-compassion. And then when we fill up, we can give from the overflow. And it's become such a cliche today, and yet there is no better way to describe this that I know of. And so when we can give back from our overflow, we're not depleting ourselves. So when you fill yourself up in this practice, and as you start to feel that fullness, we can then extend this idea of love and compassion out into our community. So you each shared how this practice can serve you today, and it was a lot about finding peace and balance and love, acceptance. So as we find all of those things within ourselves, it becomes almost, it becomes easy to then bring it out into the world. It starts with ourselves, and then we can bring it out into our community and into the planet. So I invite you to just continue to breathe into this concept of self-love and self-compassion, filling yourself and giving back from the overflow throughout our time together here today. And continue to recognize what comes up for you. Allow it, investigate, and nurture whatever that is. So now let's open our palms up, allowing the backs of your hands to rest on your thighs. Fingers relaxed. And breathe into this giving and receiving. Inhale, receive, fill yourself up. Exhale, give back. And there's that balance that we seek. Inhale, take in, receive, and exhale, give back. Beginning to lengthen your breath. Taking it to about an 85% of capacity. And then if this is comfortable for you, at the top of your inhale, hold the breath. So that inhale is the idea of receiving. So bring it to fullness and then hold the breath for just a moment or two, allowing whatever it is you're receiving for yourself to fill you up. You can imagine maybe taking that breath all the way up through the spine to the crown of the head, pausing there, and then on your exhale, as you give back, it all cascades out and around and flows into the community or to the planet. You can each come up with your own visualization here. It doesn't have to be that one. Let's take 3 more breaths here together. And then we'll stay with this even breath, but let go of the holding at the top of the inhale. And let's discover what's going on in our neck this morning. So we're going to take a little care with our necks. Release the right ear to the right shoulder. Feel whatever stretch you may be feeling in the left side of your neck there, maybe down even into the shoulder. We're not diving into a deeper stretch here. It's just kind of discovering where we might be feeling any tightness. Bring the head back up to neutral, left ear to left shoulder. Notice what's going on in the right side of the neck there and into your right shoulder. And then bring the head upright and just look over the right shoulder and then the left, just kind of rotating the head to one side and the other. Notice any tightness or where any restriction may be. Bring your gaze back to center and then drop the chin towards the chest and feel into the back of the neck. And then gradually lift the head back up, drawing the chin like in an arc. So the chin starts to move towards the ceiling and just stretching the front of the neck. So again, noticing where your points of stretch are, where the resistance starts, your range of motion. Come back to neutral. So let's do our resistance work here. We're going to take the heel of our right hand to the edge of our right side of our head. And you're going to press the head into the hand. You want to draw the ear to the shoulder. The hand is trying to push the head back, but it makes it. Right? The ear drops to the shoulder. And then you're going to push the head back to neutral while the head resists. And you're only going to do this 4 rounds. So resisting both directions. It's a moderate resistance, so you don't have to overdo this, please. It's not meant to be really quick, and it doesn't have to be really slow. So here's that idea of balance again in all that we do. And then switch sides, left heel of the left hand to the left side of your head. And again, resist, press the head into the hand while the hand resists. Hand presses into the head while the head resists, coming back up. 4 rounds. And then now we're going to go back to the right side, and we're going to come to the right kind of front corner of your forehead, right? So I'm off to go across the forehead, right heel of the hand in that right corner. And now we're going to rotate. So we're going to rotate the head into the hand while the hand resists. We're taking our gaze out over that right shoulder, and then resist back to neutral 4 rounds. Palm presses into the head as you rotate it, and the head presses into the palm as it comes back to neutral. Notice your breath. Keep the breath flowing. And you've gone 4 rounds on this side. Switch to the left side. Rotating and resisting both directions. Breath is flowing. And then release both hands. Take a moment here, take a few breaths, just feeling into that. And then we're going to take the heel of either left or right hand, it doesn't matter, to the front of your forehead. And the same idea as we drop the chin to the chest, the head's pressing into the palm of the hand while the hand resists, dropping the chin down, and then resist coming back up. The head's pressing into the hand while the hand brings the head back to neutral. 4 rounds. And keep breathing. And then we're going to bring one or both hands to the back of the head. And we're going to press the head 4 rounds into the hands, bringing the chin slightly up towards the ceiling. And then the head's going to press into the hands as the hand brings the head back to neutral. 4 rounds. Keep breathing. And at the completion of those 4 rounds there, release the hands back to your lap, palms up. And then let's find our movement again. Right ear to the right shoulder. Notice if there's been just a bit of a shift or a release. And then left ear to the left shoulder. Notice that right side. Head back up to neutral. Rotate right to left. Maybe you're noticing a little more range of motion. And then dropping the chin slightly. And bringing the head back upright and dropping it back just a bit. And opening the front of the neck. And then finding your way back to neutral. So let's do a seated cat-cow. We'll bring our palms down or even to the fingertips. On your exhale, let's round the spine. We're going to bring the elbows wide. We drop or tuck the tailbone under, round that low back, upper back, and even the head releases. And then press into the hands, lifting and lengthening the spine, the heart, elbows draw in, gaze up to the ceiling if that feels okay for you. Exhaling, round. Inhaling, open. And we can work with the energy of our intention this morning as you fold forward, drawing that love and self-acceptance inward, absorbing that. And as you inhale, we expand our hearts outward. We fill ourselves and we give back from that fullness. One more round, exhaling round into your heart. Inhale, we open the heart and expand out. And then bringing the spine to neutral. Let's inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, release the right arm down by your side as you fold to the right, reaching through those left fingertips. Inhale, bring yourself back to neutral, arms overhead. Exhale, left arm releases by your side, right arm reaches over. Take a few breaths here. The inhale brings you back up, arms overhead, and we're just going to move side to side here. Exhale to the right, release the right arm, extend with the left. Inhale back to neutral, and exhale to the left. Inhaling and exhaling. So just back and forth at the pace of your own breath. Hearts are open, breath flowing. And when you've gone equally side to side, both arms overhead, come back into your heart, placing one palm on top of the other, and just take 3 breaths here. Recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. Good, so let's go ahead and find our way to hands and knees, and we'll come into our mini flow here, warming up first with our cat-cow. So mindfully placing the palms in your mat, fingertips spread, maybe slightly in front of the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Draw navel to spine. You all might be feeling your core, or at least you were yesterday after our Monday's practice. So we know where that is fairly well here. Exhaling, cat pose. Right, just rounding the back, and then inhaling, the heart softens to the earth as you lift the tail and lift your gaze. Exhaling and inhaling. Notice a little bit more range of motion here, possibly from seated compared to seated. And allowing our intention together here of self-love and compassion and giving from the overflow of your heart. Start to feel that even here in this movement as you take care of yourself today. And then when you're ready, we'll add on and draw back into a child's pose, Balasana. Inhaling back to hands and knees. And exhaling, release. So we're moving into our Chakravakasana. Inhale up and exhale, release back. What shifts energetically if you do this from our heart's intention? So the heart drawing you back and the heart lifting you back up. Just notice again, if there's some resistance to this, recognize, allow, investigate, and nurture. Right, so accepting yourself right where you are today, whatever's coming up for you. If it's comfortable, you may begin to draw the heart forward if your body feels ready for that. And notice that it's a lengthening of the spine, not a back bend. We're not dropping our hip bones into our mat, keeping the spine extended and then exhaling back. And it's really important that we keep the core engaged if you're choosing to come into that modified up dog. Okay, so navel to spine, heart open, shoulders down and back. And then on your next exhale, if you feel ready, we're going to curl the toes under and come up into our first down dog today. And pedal the feet. So just start to shift the heels in and out of the floor, bending the knees. You can start to shift through your hips. You can take that movement all the way up into the spine. And then we'll go ahead and come back to our knees. Exhale into a child's pose. So this going inside, so diving into our own hearts for a moment. It's a pose of safety, comfort, gratitude, surrender. And then we'll find our way from here into our mini flow. So inhaling to knees, maybe forward with the heart if you are doing that today. Exhale back into down dog. Inhaling back to knees. And exhaling into a child's pose. So just go 3 more rounds at your own pace. We inhale to hands and knees, and we alternate between down dog and child's pose on the exhale. One more round. The next time you find a child's pose, pause again there and feel the practice. Breathe into your heart. So let's come up to hands and knees, and we're going to bring our right foot to the front of our mats into a low lunge. So if you have blocks here, you may want to use them and place the blocks on either side of your foot. Matter of fact, I'm going to grab mine just to be an example. So even though I have the mobility to not use the blocks, I still find these really lovely to use in the practice. Just that extra space, that extra lift at the heart is really nice. So we're gonna go ahead and just start to come into our lunge rock. We inhale forward, and as you inhale forward and we're releasing softly into this left hip flexor, we wanna make sure that the knee stays in line with the ankle. It may come forward just a bit, but we don't want it to come in front of the toes. So I wanna be careful with that, please. And then so we inhale here, we lift and open the heart. So the idea of expanding out. And then exhale, we draw back, straightening that right leg, bringing the toes up off the floor if you choose, and that sense of drawing in. So we fill ourselves and we open out and give back. Just back and forth here. The breath. The next time you come forward, just come into neutral and come on up. From here, let's place again one hand on top of the other on our hearts. And breathe into our intention today together of self-love, compassion, acceptance, balance. And just breathing into what that feels like to you. And then on your exhale, fold forward. If you're using blocks, go ahead and move them off to the side. Press back into down dog. Maybe walk that out a bit. And then inhaling to knees. Exhaling child's pose. And then again, 3 slow rounds at your own pace of our mini flow. Adding that up dog if you want to or not. Just flowing with your heart and your breath from pose to pose. Take your time, and I invite you to close your eyes if you feel safe doing so. Let your heart guide you and your breath. And on that third exhale, into a child's pose, we'll come together here, take a few breaths, feel the practice before we move to the other lunge. And then we'll come on up. Left foot to the front of your mat. If you're using your blocks, go ahead and place those. Check in with your foundation. So as you come forward, what's that left knee doing? Just making sure it's lining over the ankles. All right, or ankle. And then we'll rock back and forth. Exhaling back, inhaling forward. Heart opens, expand out. Exhale and give back to yourself. Always creating that balance in all that we do. And the next time you're coming forward, just come into more or less a neutral position. Lift the heart, one palm on top of the other. And breathe into your heart again. Self-acceptance, compassion, patience, balance, love. Your next exhale, fold forward, move the blocks off to the side, press back into your down dog, walk that out. Inhale to the knees, exhale into child's pose, take 2 breaths here. And really feel into how this practice is serving you. Right, so that recognize, allow, investigate, nurture, and decide whether or not you want to come into the flow again. Right, so we're going to go 3 more rounds of our mini flow, or you can stay here, and maybe that would feel nice to you. So you decide. If you're joining me, we're going to inhale up, maybe forward with the heart, and exhale. And 2 more rounds. And on that 3rd exhale into a child's pose, once again pause. Feel the echo of the practice, the choices you're making so far for yourself. Are the choices representing self-love, acceptance, compassion? Are they honoring those teachings? On your next inhale, find your way back up to hands and knees. Exhale into down dog. And then let's walk your feet to your hands, finding your way to the front of your mat. Hang out for a moment, Uttanasana. I'm just going to shift with the camera. You might even take a hold of one elbow on the opposite hand and just kind of sway a little bit. Knees are softly bent so that the stretch you're feeling in the back of the legs is gentle. It's whispering at you. Bend more if it's too loud. Okay, it's not supposed to be an intense stretch. You can also use a block here. It's always nice. Bring your hands to your hips. Bend the knees quite generously. Engage your core. Lengthen the spine as you come up to standing. Let's find our equilibrium here. Both feet underneath us again. Shoulders relaxed away from the ears. Slight engagement of the core. Good. So if you're not at the front of your mat, go ahead and step forward. And we're going to start with our feet hip width apart. Step your right foot back for a warrior 1. So our back foot's at probably 45-degree angle or so. And my feet are hip width apart, right? I step my right foot back directly behind my right hip rather than aligning the back arch with the front heel. Now, I want to touch base on this again. I know that in a lot of traditions, yoga will teach that. However, when I bring my back foot, the arch of it, to be in alignment with my heel, it draws my hip back. And we want our hips forward in Warrior One, and that's really pretty difficult for most people to find. So if we step that foot back directly with the right hip as opposed to the left heel, now my hips really, it's really nice on my sacrum, my hips are forward, and it's a lot more ease in the pose. Okay, so from here, inhale the arms overhead, the front leg is straight right now. On your exhale, we're going to bend into that front knee and place your palms on your heart, just like we've been doing. And then inhale again, sweep up, hearts open, draw all that love and accept that love into your own heart. And then again, inhale. So you work with the intention here on your own here for a moment. Feel into this. Yours might be slightly different. And that's okay. This is the gift of practice you've given yourself this morning. And on this next round, as we come into the pose, let's hold here for a moment. Hands at our hearts. Back leg is strong. We're bending into the front knee as little or as deeply as you wish. Core is engaged, spine tall, and we breathe from our hearts. So feel the heart breathing. Just feel your heart taking the breath in and out. Your intention as you breathe here. And really check in and be honest with yourself where you are today, needing to receive and how much you honestly have to give back. Really checking in there. And are you willing to have this whole practice maybe be a receiving practice for yourself? Receive it, the whole practice. That's what you need. Straighten that front leg and step the back foot up. Both feet directly underneath the hips again. Left foot steps back. So same placement of the feet. So we're stepping the left foot directly behind the left hip. Right? So you can feel the hip bones pointing forward. It's a wonderful modification if you're willing to give it a try. And then decide, how much you're going to bend into the knee. Just like the low lunge, we don't want it to come out in front of the toes. So you need to either step the back foot farther back or not bend the knee as far. Okay. Front leg stays straight, arms reach overhead. And when you're ready, I think we came in and out about 5 times. Exhale, hands to your heart, bend the front knee. Core is engaged. Inhale. And exhale. Here we'll come in and hold. And breathe from your heart. Begin to straighten that front leg, release the hands, step that back foot forward. Take a moment to feel the echo of the practice, continuing to breathe from your heart. Good. So if you have a block with you, you're going to go ahead and bring that to the front of your mat if it's not there already. If you don't have one, you'll just modify by bending the knee, and you might have to even with a block. We're going to place the block just out in front of the right toes at level 3. We're going to start with level 3, so the tallest level. And we're going to step our left foot back a little narrower than we did in our warrior one. And we want to have our feet, you can really take a look at that back foot. You want toes facing forward. Okay, so there's not an angle on that back foot. Right, so that heel is directly behind you. Okay. Hand to your hip. We're coming into pyramid pose, Purvottanasana. Right, so you decide how deeply you're going to find this forward fold, of course, so we can come only halfway if you need to, right, depending on what's going on in your low back. So we're going to find a pretty deep stretch in this front leg, and if by coming to the block is still not enough, bend the knee, okay? But we're folding at the hip flexors, so navel to spine, spine tall, and we're leading with our heart. So our hearts are folding forward, and we're folding into the right hip flexor, making our way to the block. Both hands can come to the block. Okay, so notice if you're already bending the knee to find your forward fold here, you're going to keep the block at this level. Okay, so really honor where you're at. That is a sign of self-compassion, when we don't push ourselves farther than what is safe. If this feels really easy to you, you can lower the block to level 2. So you're just moving a little bit more deeply into the fold. Take a few breaths, check in here, notice if it serves you to stay. Next option for some of you will be to go to level 1 with the block, just a little bit closer to the floor. Breathe here. We're folding inwards. Forward folds are definitely about self-compassion, drawing into our own hearts. We're going inside. We all need to go inside occasionally. And then for some of you, you might be able to bring your hands to the floor and really fold completely over that leg. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And go ahead after that 3rd breath, bend into that front knee, place your palms on either side of that right foot, and then you're going to step all the way back into a downward dog. So you're going to walk both feet back and just kind of walk that out a bit. Inhale to the knees and exhale into a child's. Pause and breathe. You might notice some heat in that right leg, or some sensations there after that deep stretch. Inhaling back to your knees, exhaling into down dog. Walk the feet forward to the hands, standing forward fold. Hands to your hips, bend the knees, engage your core, lengthen the spine. This is always just a really nice way to come up for the back. And rise up to standing. Arms relaxed by your side. Okay, so we'll go into pyramid pose to the other side. So right foot steps back, right? So we're taking a narrower stance than our triangle pose. We want to be able to keep the back heel in the floor, right? So the range of motion here is really dependent a lot on your Achilles and your calves. Hands to your hips, spine is tall, core engaged. We're folding, we're keeping the spine long as we come forward. We're folding into the left hip flexor, not our waist. Okay, so reach out with the heart, lead with the heart, folding over this front leg. We're going to find our blocks again to level 3. Pause and take a few breaths here. So we don't want to ever make the assumption that we're going to go to the same point that we did on the first side. We might go farther on this side, or it may need some care, and we need to be a little bit more gentle and not take this stretch as deep. Again, honoring that is a form of self-compassion. If this feels easy for you, or you want to take this a little farther, level 2 with the block. Right, so moving more deeply in stages so you can kind of check things out along the way. Notice what feels right for you. And then maybe level 1. And if you find yourself, you thought you wanted to go a little more deeply and didn't quite feel as good as you wanted, back off. Come back up to another level with the block, or bend the knee more. And then maybe the block all together, hands on the floor. Just find about 3 more breaths here. Place your palms in the mat on either side of that left foot and walk both feet back into down dog. Walk that out a bit. And then go ahead and inhale to the knees. Exhale to child's. Pause here and feel the echo of the practice. So I'm going to invite you into 3 more rounds of our mini flow. Again, you're welcome to rest here in child's pose. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and inhale up to hands and knees, maybe forward with the heart. Exhale, down dog. Inhale to hands and knees. And exhale, child. So 2 more rounds at your own pace. Maybe eyes closed. Heart and breath leading the way. And as you come into that last child's pose, take a hold of your block, if you have one, and place it. You're going to place it in front of you so your third eye can rest on the block. If you don't have a block, you can take your palms, one on top of the other, and rest your third eye there. So allowing the mind to quiet down a bit. And breathe into the back body so that we expand our heart
from the back body as well.
All right, so let's go ahead and come on up and find our way into a seated position. Let's go ahead and extend the legs out in front of us. We're not going to use a blanket for now, but we might come to one in a moment if you choose. Let's bend the right knee. Left leg is extended. We're going to take that right foot. You can even leave it next to the inner thigh or bring it up and over. That's completely up to you, your range of motion, what feels comfortable for you. And notice the left foot is going to stay flexed. Okay, so we're keeping that left foot active with that left kneecap up to the ceiling. Left arm comes around the right knee, right hand behind you. We're going to move in and out of this twist. Okay, so what's really important is that we keep the spine extended and the heart open. Okay, so when we drop in, we kind of sink in the spine, that's when twists become more of a risk. So we're really keeping everything elongated. Your exhale brings you into the twist, and we're taking that right hip, it's moving back with us. And then we inhale and unwind. We exhale into the twist. Navel is gently engaged, spine elongated, right hip comes back. Inhale forward, heart stays open, shoulders down and relaxed away from the ears. We're going to move in and out 2 more times. Just notice the range of motion you have by releasing that hip with you. Unsquaring the pelvis allows the sacrum to have a little more ease in the twist. And then on the next exhale into the twist, go ahead and pause. You can minimize this. You don't have to twist very far. Right? You can keep the gaze either straight ahead, off to the side, or you can take the twist into the neck and look out that right shoulder. And drop in, heart open, and breathe. And then slowly release, unwind. Extend the right leg. Shake that out a bit. Bend the left knee. Maybe that foot comes up and over. Then from here, keep that right leg active, right foot flexed, right elbow around the knee. Left hand behind you. Press into the left hand to lengthen the spine. All right, so we're not compressing and sinking. Keep that lift. Heart stays open, shoulders down away from the ears. Exhale moves you into the twist. We bring that left hip with you. Inhale, face front again. Exhale into the twist. Inhale, face front. Let's go 3 more. Approximately the 5th time into the twist, we're holding. And then decide whether you want to rotate your head all the way to that back shoulder or somewhere in between, front all the way to the side. practice of self-compassion means we're making choices that nurture and nourish. And then slowly unwind. Extend the leg, shake that out a little bit. So at this point, you might want to use a blanket. It's up to you. I really love to sit right off the edge of a blanket that's folded because it tips my pelvis slightly forward, supporting my low back. But it's totally up to you. So if you want to try that, you can. We sit right off the edge of it. And we're going to bring the soles of our feet together, bottoms of our feet, spine tall. Just grab a hold of the knees. We're supporting the knees here for a minute. So bound angle pose, Baddha Konasana, seated Baddha Konasana. And we're going to move in and out of this. So the exhale, we just slowly open up, what's ever comfortable for you. Inhale, bring the knees closed again. And then exhale, open. And you can reverse the breath on here if the opposite way feels more natural to you, that's fine. The most important thing is that you are breathing, that we're finding a connection between the movement and the breath. It's all done mindfully. I'm paying attention to what the body has to say here. And then the next time the knees open, we're going to find just that right stretch for ourselves. The arms are holding the knees in place. You also have the option, if you want, to place 2 blocks underneath the knees. Can't reach that one right now, but you can do that if that feels good to you, or simply keep the hands there supporting. Now, some of you may not need either. You can just open out, and that's fine too. The closer the heels are to the groin, the more challenging this is, and it's also more challenging for the knees. So you really have to be careful. If you have sensitive knees, you may want to bring the feet farther out away from you, just kind of opening the leg a little bit, and that might create a little bit more ease in the body. Okay, so it's completely up to you. Find your Baddha Konasana, bound angle, and breathe. Navel to spine, spine tall. Invite you to close your eyes if you feel safe, heart open, and imagine the heart breathing in and out. Very slowly begin to draw the knees closed. And again, extend the legs out in front of you. Shake that out a bit. Okay. So here we're going to come into a forward fold. I'm actually going to remove the blanket because we're going to move in and out of this here. So extending both legs out in front of you and flexing the feet. And from here, we're going to go ahead on your exhale, spine long. So same idea applies as when we came into our forward fold in pyramid pose. We're not collapsing in the spine and rounding the low back to bring the knees, nose to the knees. Okay, we want to keep the spine as long as we can, core engaged. And then on an exhale, just run the hands down the legs as you fold forward, the heart to the toes or nose to toes. Right? And just finding that first point of sensation and then Inhale and lengthen back up again. And then exhale, come back into the fold. First point of sensation, and then inhale back up again. And then exhale, we're going to add on here in a moment. And inhale back up. Place the palms into the floor. Fingertips, my fingertips are pointing to the front of my mat. Okay. We're going to press into the palms and lift the hips up off the floor. So I'm pressing into my heels too. Press into my heels, press into my palms, lift, open the heart, and then exhale and come all the way back down to seated and into that forward fold. Inhale, come back. Lift the heart, lift the hips. That's all one inhale. And then exhale, back into the forward fold. So just find your range of motion here. And if coming back with the hands and lifting the hips up off the floor is too much, you don't have to. You can just come in and out of the forward fold. Two more rounds. And the next time you find your way into your forward fold, we're going to pause there. So you might take your peace fingers to your big toes. Some of you, this might be too much of a stretch. You're going to stay up a little farther, right? You're not going to drop as low. Sometimes if you have your fascia balls, you can place them underneath the knees. For some people, that's very helpful. So just find your version of Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. And really do the best you can in keeping that spine as long as you can before it begins to round. So you're folding more from the hip flexors, not your waist. A nice deep breath here. And then slowly come back up. Pick that up a bit. And then we'll go ahead and roll onto our backs. So let's go ahead and come on back. Have maybe a blanket nearby, but we're not going to use it quite yet. So as you roll back, we're going to find our feet hip width apart and parallel, arms by your side, palms down. We're going to roll the shoulders under us, really anchoring the shoulder blades onto the back body. And the heels are maybe 3 to 4 inches from the buttocks. So you want to feel like your feet are planted pretty close to directly underneath the knees. It gives you better leverage. And then we're going to go ahead and just come into our moving bridge with the lower half of the body only. We're not using the arms here. So on an inhale, press into the feet, hips move up, and all the way up to the heart if you can. And then exhale down, but you find your place. So if maybe only lifting an inch or two today serves you better, then take care of yourself in that way. We inhale, we come up, and we exhale, we lower. Notice what's going on in the head. We want to keep the gaze straight up to the ceiling and the neck in a neutral position. We want to keep it safe that way, rather than lifting it or rotating it right to left. That stays neutral. Let's go 2 more here. And the next time you come up with the hips, we're going to pause. So that might be here in Dvipada Pita, and you might be just an inch or 2 off the floor. It might be higher. You want to feel the heart breathing. So really feel the heart open and breathing. And you can stay right here. Arms are actively pressing into the floor through the palms of the hand. They're not limp and hanging out. They're very active. And then for those of you who would like to move a little more deeply into this, we'll come into set 2 Bandhasana. So interlace the hands underneath you, arms lengthen. We roll the shoulders under and then begin to lift even higher. Neck is neutral. Heart expands. Knees stay hip width apart. Breath flows. If you can, take 2 more breaths here. If you need to lower, of course, that's fine. The exhale brings you out of the pose. Pause with your spine and the floor in neutral. And just feel the effects of the practice. Feel the echo of that pose in particular. And then we'll go ahead and draw the knees into the chest. As you pull the knees in close, let the breath out. Bring them arms length away, inhale. Exhale, hug in. Inhale, arm lengths away. Then we'll take this into knee circles in one direction, big or small. And switch, circling the other way. Bring the feet back into your mat. Hip width apart in parallel. And we'll find our way into our hip hikers or sliders. Just sliding the hip up the mat towards your shoulders. And then from here, bring that to neutral. Hip pointers. Point one hip up to the ceiling and then the other. And then alternate between these two. Do a few hip hikers and then hip pointers. And then let's go ahead and find our way into Shavasana, and notice if you'd like to have a blanket underneath your head. Maybe you'd like something rolled underneath your knees, which is very supportive for the low back. Once you get yourself settled into Shavasana, please just take a moment to observe your breath without shaping it, but simply observing the body breathe. Notice if there's even just a slight adjustment you can make in order to be that much more comfortable. So bringing ourselves into the present moment throughout Shavasana. Whatever thoughts or feelings are coming up for you, simply acknowledge them and allow them to be, without any judgment or analysis about it. And bring your awareness back to your breathing. Breathing naturally and normally. We're not trying to control it, just mindful of the breath rising and falling as you inhale and exhale. And as you breathe, focus on the sensations of breathing in and what the sensations are when you breathe out. Notice if there's a difference of what you notice on the inhale versus the exhale. Now gently shift your focus from the breath and bring it into sensations in the body. Just notice the myriad of sensations going on in your own body, without judgments, without analyzing them. Just moment to moment, notice how they can change and where you're feeling sensations. If you notice any areas of tightness or tension, can you invite them to relax, to release? If you're not able to relax into them, just allow them to flow wherever they need to do or go. Just allow those sensations to be. Now draw your attention to sound, to anything that you're hearing. Just observing sounds without without ambivalence. Right? Break the sounds down to their basic waves that can be heard within the body without judging them as good or bad. Just recognizing sounds around you. Acknowledging how many sounds there may be internally and externally, moment to moment. Notice how sound can change with each moment. It might appear and disappear, loud or soft. Now gently shut the sounds out of the mind and shift your focus to emotions and thoughts. Just observe the mind without judgment. Simply acknowledge the myriad of mental formations with each moment. Like lying in a field and watching the clouds move and shape as they float by in the sky. Watch your mind in that same manner. We're not getting attached to any emotions or thoughts. They're just floating by. Notice how thoughts rise and form in the mind and then recede when another thought takes over. The mind is constantly thinking about this and that, and functioning with a mind of its own, analyzing, planning, remembering, comparing, etc. So just experience how these thoughts appear and just appear and disappear just as thoughts. No attachment. We're just observing and letting them be, knowing they will appear and disappear and recede in time. If you do find yourself getting caught up in a particular thought or feeling, it's okay. This is simply a way of returning to the present moment. So once you realize you're lost in thought, in that very moment, you're no longer lost. Simply refocus the mind, observing the clouds of thoughts and emotions floating on and on. And if you find yourself becoming frustrated with the wandering mind, come back to the anchor of the breath for a bit. Allow your attention to rest in the breath. And once you find yourself centered again, maybe you could come back to those clouds of emotions and thoughts drifting by. Present moment awareness invites you to become mindful of whatever arises with each moment in the mind and body, whether a stream of emotions or thoughts, sensations, sounds, or any other sensory experience. Just lie back and absorb the internal experience as your body and mind combine and interact with constantly changing stimuli. We're simply observing what is prevalent in the mind and body and being present to it. Each time you feel completely unfocused, go back to the breath and anchor yourself into the breath in this moment. As you learn to give space to whatever's arising inside without judgment, you can begin to learn to go with the flow. And then instead of fighting it, you'll begin to acknowledge and understand that all things change. Even feelings of anger, sadness, pain, anxiety, confusion will diminish if you give these feelings space. Once again, find your way back into the breath, the sensations of breathing in and out, and become aware of the space around you. Taking some deep breaths, wiggling some fingers and toes, just creating some gentle movement in the body. You're welcome to stay where you are on your backs, or you can roll to one side. I'm going to share with you a reading from Susan Freiburg. I'm stepping out from wooded shadows and into the bright arrival of a fresh day. Beyond the forest, rugged trees give way to a clearing as I walk beside new possibilities. Along the path, I gather tattered pieces from seasons past to place with care upon the mantle. And to my surprise, what I discover, resting nestled and preserved, are scattered dreams now recollected, their colors vibrantly reminding amid the slender pines. Entwined with twigs and fallen needles, I find childhood dreams that have lost their way. I uncover wild dreams yet unbroken, and dreams that used to keep me up at night, still restless and alive. Now is the time I pick them up, dust them off, and let them breathe into a wider opening. Let their pulse race free with promise. Let them blend with each morning's faithful light. Go ahead and find your way to a seated position. And once you come to seated, place your hands on your heart once again. And as you move through your day, I hope that you find balance between receiving and giving. That you allow yourself to fill your own cup and move about your day by giving back from the overflow. Thank you for being here for you today, and thank you for allowing me to take the seat of teacher. Namaste.